Let me bring in Andrew Breitbart. I mean, Andrew, what it seems to be is a resounding rejection of the Tea Party, in the sense that they have no one really left in this race. What do you make of that, the phenomenon of the Tea Party bursting onto the scene and then disappearing almost as fast?
Well, it hasn't disappeared whatsoever. I mean, whenever the Tea Party is attacked nationally, it has a hard time defending itself because it's a series of small, organic grassroots groups at a local level. So they don't have a national organization. They don't have a national structure. And so they're really good at picking people in local primaries who they want to run and fighting from that grassroots level. But this is the first time they've ever tried to act on behalf of a national candidate, and it goes state by state by state. And with Sarah Palin out, there wasn't a true Tea Party candidate in there that they would have embraced at a massive level.
Karen Roth, let me bring you in here. I mean, you're a pro-Romney business strategist. We established that last time we spoke. And from a business point of view, he's getting more and more ruthless, isn't he? He's spending more and more money, getting nastier and nastier. He wants to not just beat Newt Gingrich, he wants to destroy the guy.
Well, we talked about this last time, Piers. He needed to bring it, and he absolutely did. He brought it in the debate. He brought it in terms of the dollars spent and the type of adverts that he did. But I think that it's time that he needs to evolve, because I think people were waiting for him to bring it, but now they need to build a connection with him. He's sort of an outsider. He's this privileged, Wall Street kind of guy, and I don't think they feel connected to him. So before he needed to have a debate coach, now I think he needs to have a storytelling coach and connect emotionally with the audience.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the one who's done that best, actually, in fact, the two people who've done it best, I think, have been Rick Santorum, who made this brilliant speech when, as it turned out, he won in Iowa. And also Ron Paul makes these regular speeches, and no one takes much interest in Ron Paul. But Ron Paul, the way it plays out in someone like Nevada, this is the way the system is, he could do surprisingly well over the next 2 or 3 caucuses and primaries. Are they out of the equation? Is Santorum gone, done and dusted? What do you think of the other 2 candidates?
Well, some watchers, they're speculating that perhaps Rick Santorum is staying in the hopes of being VP on a Romney ticket. So if he does well in some of these upcoming states, then he can show strength on the ticket and bringing conservatives home for Mitt Romney. But I would say tonight, listening to Newt Gingrich's speech, it was gracious, and it was also charging forward. Here's what I would do on my first day as President of the United States. And I think that Newt Gingrich, he's an emotional guy, and he does make emotional connections with voters, sometimes for good, sometimes for ill.
And he's also, Kath, I mean Newt Gingrich, he was dead on arrival in the summer. Whole campaign team quit. He went off on holiday. That seemed to be it. Then he came steaming back. Then he went down again. Then he came and won in South Carolina. Now he's gone back again. I wouldn't rule out Newt Gingrich making yet another comeback, would you?
Newt Gingrich, I've been covering Newt Gingrich since the late 80s. The man is his own worst enemy in so many respects. You let him talk long enough and he will talk himself out of whatever he's succeeded in. But the thing I'm interested in is listening to his speech tonight. Is there any chance this man could take his People's Campaign? Remember, he said this is not a Republican campaign, it's the People's Campaign, to a third party. He does have the ego, for good or bad. He does think in grandiose terms. He's admitted that himself. I wonder if there's any chance.
But I don't know that he has the organization. Ron Paul would have the organization for that.
I don't know that would matter.
There's also a bigger question, which I'm going to put to Andrew Breitbart when we come back after this short break, which is, Andrew, realistically, does anybody on the Republican side right now, with the economy improving, have a chance of beating Barack Obama? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but let's get the suspense building. Andrew, as I said before the break, can these guys, whichever one wins the nomination, actually beat Barack Obama if the economy, and this is the big question, if the economy continues to improve right up to November, he's going to get a home run, isn't he?
Well, it's a big if, and I would also say that less crappy than crappy is still crappy. The economy is not robust, and I think that the American people who voted for Barack Obama on a concept of hope and change, which was about uplift, have experienced Occupy, they've experienced Wisconsin, they've experienced that community organizing isn't helping the little old lady across the street. It's a form of Alinsky war tactics against your own enemy, and people have Obama fatigue because hope and change is about accusing anyone that disagrees with President Obama of being a racist. That's exactly the opposite of the racial reconciliation that was a tacit promise of this presidency.
Yeah, well, look, let's get something into perspective. I mean, take the Occupy movement, for example, Andrew, because, you know, you say it's like raging around America and stuff. The reality is it isn't. I mean, most people in America are not protesting. 340 million of them actually may feel aggrieved, but I don't get a sense, and I don't have a horse in this race, I don't get a sense that people in America hate Barack Obama enough yet to want to really kick him out.
Okay, well, the thing is, the mainstream media is not going to report to you the origins of the Occupy movement. It was the biggest story of last year, according to Time magazine. But if you look at the origins, it's the exact same people that organized against Bush and Katrina, same exact people that organized the anti-war movement. It was even the same exact people that protested the Republican National Convention in 2008, where two members of these radical anarchist and socialist groups were arrested for planning to use Molotov cocktails against the police.
Andrew, I think we're getting slightly tangential here.
These people are all tied to Obama.
Only you could have brought Molotov cocktails into this. Let me bring in Carol Roth. Let's cut to what my gut sense at the moment is, which is actually most Republicans, even if they're conservatives, don't really warm to Mitt Romney, are probably looking at the whole race now and thinking a Romney-Chris Christie ticket might be the best way to beat Barack Obama. Has Mitt Romney done enough? It's interesting to me that in Florida, with all the problems they've got there, the worst housing crisis in the whole of America, they decided that of Gingrich and of Romney, they preferred Romney's view of the economy and how to revive it than Newt Gingrich's. So that's an encouraging sign. It said to me that they don't look upon Romney as this very, very super rich, out-of-touch guy anymore. Would you agree with that?
I think it all boils down to electability, Piers, and I relate everything back to high school in America. And you have to remember that when it comes down to it, people want to elect somebody who's cool, not necessarily the smartest kid. So you've got Barack Obama, who's basically the prom king. You've got Newt Gingrich, who's head of the debate club. So at least Romney is going to the prom. And so, you know, he has a chance against the prom king. I think everybody realizes that if you put Newt Gingrich against Barack Obama, even if your head says this makes sense, your gut is going to go, yeah, you know what, I just can't do this.
But Amy, the interesting thing, isn't it, is that a lot of conservatives, I've spoken to them, they do not really warm to Mitt Romney. So they are going along with this reluctantly at the moment. This is why Newt Gingrich, I think, still says, I'm staying in this to the bitter end, because I think he thinks he can present himself as a genuine conservative alternative to the moderate, which Mitt Romney clearly is.
Well, I think Newt Gingrich definitely does believe that about his candidacy, and listening to his speech tonight, you know, he said he was the conservative in the race and that Mitt Romney was the Massachusetts moderate. But you asked the question, could Mitt Romney beat President Obama? Certainly he could. The country doesn't have to hate President Obama to simply tire of him, tire of his policies, and want a new direction. So you're going to want to look at those, you know, is the country going the right direction, wrong direction polls, and maybe somebody else, you know, maybe we should be putting our country in the hands of someone else. I mean, it doesn't have to be such extreme, you know, polarization.
And be careful. Let's pull the curtain back. The conservative establishment is a business group, very different from the cultural social group. Right now, Gingrich is appealing to the cultural conservatives. When he went after Mitt Romney about capitalism and about how he made his money, and you saw the establishment, talking heads, the politicians on Capitol Hill going after him, you have got a business community who is supporting Romney for business reasons.
And let me just say, the one thing I know about business people is in the end, they will go where they think success lies. And the interesting thing to me will be, as always,
Gingrich scares them.
Well, I would say follow the money. Interestingly, Rick Santorum is still raising a lot of money. Newt Gingrich raising a lot of money. So this may not be over yet. And actually what happens in little places like Nevada and Michigan and so on could be very significant in terms of their ability to carry on raising money. And I think that may be where we get the indication about who stays in and who comes out. Thank you all for now. I'd love to get you all back at this twilight hour. It certainly glams the place up a bit if you come in here. So thank you very much. Well, apart from you, Andrew, obviously.